Hey guys, it's Carson Miller Tech here, back with another video. And are you looking at my new car? That's not for this video, that's for another future video if you guys are interested. But in this video, what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to properly and safely land the Mavic Mini in the palm of your hand. Now, this is something that I've had a lot of people asking about recently, especially since I've done it in a couple of recent videos. And they're asking, how do you do that with the downwards facing sensors on the Mavic Mini? And I get it, at first it is a little bit scary to do. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to take off and land properly and safely so you can avoid cutting off your fingers with these tiny little blades. But I do want to say here up front, if you did stumble across this video and you already know how to do this and you don't want to watch the rest of this video, then I will have some other videos up there that you might find a little bit more interesting that you can choose to watch if you would like. But with that being said, let's get right into showing you how to do this. All right, so I've got the drone on already and the controller as well, so everything's powered on. And before showing you how to do this, I do want to talk about why would you want to do this? Well, for me personally, I don't really ever do it unless I'm in a scenario like right now where I'm just out here, out on grass. You could be maybe on a beach and there's sand. There could be a field with really tall grass. Whatever the circumstance may be, there isn't a flat surface. However, if you have a flat surface like a slab of cement to sit it on or a plank of wood or something like that, I typically would go and use that instead. However, if you are in a circumstance where you just can't land on the ground, which do not land on dirt, because if you land on dirt, that can actually kick up dirt into your motors as well as into your gimbal, which can be very bad. I've heard of a lot of people having issues with their gimbal getting dirt in it and it completely screwing up their gimbal. And with the virus going around right now, you don't want to have to worry about dabbling with DJI support because you probably won't get your drone back for a while, sadly enough, just because shipping around the world has been slowed down. But with that being said, that is the reason why you'd want to do the hand takeoff and hand land. So this first way of taking off is one which is probably the easiest for most people, and that is to hold the drone like this with your thumb and your pointer finger and middle finger holding the drone like so. You want to hold it in the middle, not too far forward, not too far back, which I can't even do, just so then you get the center of gravity, which is about right here. So hold it kind of lightly between your fingers, and what you're going to want to do is on your phone screen, press the takeoff button, and then hold your controller like so, press and hold, let go, and then once the props start, you just let go. It'll kind of sort of actually come out of your hands by itself because it is trying to take off, but if it doesn't do so and you're just holding on to it too tightly, it may overload the motors trying to take off, or it might air out. I haven't really tried that myself because I don't want to overload the motors like that. So basically, that is how to take off there. Super simple, and now you can go and fly around, which in my case, I choose to fly near my vehicle. Because look at that thing. So once you've got your flying done and you want to bring it back home, this first way of landing is probably the safest way of doing so. In fact, I would actually say it is the safest way to do this landing. However, if there's really high wind, this may not be your best option. However, I don't have a bunch of wind right now, so basically what you want to do is give yourself a flat palm like so, stick it out flat, and slowly bring down your Mavic Mini. Now you'll see, once it gets above your hand, it will actually start to hover there, and no matter how hard you pull down on the remote controller stick, it won't actually fully come down. However, if you keep holding it, it will start coming down. And you just move your hand around until it is beneath the drone once it gets really close. You do have to move your hand around because the drone won't just go and land in your hand directly, even with super light winds. So you kind of got to move your hand around until it comes and makes contact with your hand. And as soon as it does, shuts off the props. You don't have to worry about cutting your fingers or anything like that. So now to taking off this second way, it is the flat palm method. And this one could be argued as the safest method. However, I don't usually like doing it this way just because I feel like sometime if like a huge gust of wind just came along right as I was taking off, like a huge bad situation of circumstances, then this could possibly be caught by wind and fall over to the side or something like that, and that could lead to it either running into you, depending on if the wind is coming towards you, or hit somebody else. So I would say the safest way of taking off and landing were those first two that I just showed you, but the second takeoff method I see a ton of people doing all the time. But you just stick it out on your hand, you press the takeoff button once again, and press and hold, and let it take off. There you go. And once again, you can fly around and get whatever videos, photos you want. Do your typical drone flight, of course. So that's the second way of taking off, and that one, I mean, it's decent. I wouldn't do that in a windy environment, especially in the environment like I'm in right now, but still, it is there for you if you feel safer doing it that way. And now finally, the final way to land. You've probably figured this one out already, and this one is quite possibly the most dangerous way to land, and I would not recommend doing this at all. So I'm really just showing you this to show why this is a dangerous way of landing. So this way of landing, again, if you're gonna repeat this yourself, I am not responsible if you get hurt, but to land this way into your hand, basically you just put your hand out in a U, and you're gonna basically be doing the opposite of the very first way of taking off. So you bring the drone down right above you, and it will stop once again because it sees the obstacle below it. But you look up and you pull down on the sticks until it starts landing, and you gotta, just at the right time, you have to pull your fingers together. So that is why this can be a super dangerous way of landing the drone, and that's just simply because if you hold on too late, your fingers could go up like this, and that is right in line with the propellers. Like, literally, these propellers over here could swing around and hit my finger. So you don't really want to use this landing method ever, and I'm showing you this purely to show you why you shouldn't do this landing method. It's not a good idea to do this. So for those who have said that they've gotten hurt before landing their drone or taking off, it's likely because they landed in this way, which is not good. Something I see a ton of people do, which you really should not do, as it does mess with the drone itself because the drone thinks it is crashing, is the following landing. I'll show you after I take off. What a lot of people do, especially YouTubers, I see this happen all the time, is because this has the downward facing sensors, they just reach up, grab the drone out of the sky, and tip it to the side. So this one is absolutely super risky, and I would not suggest doing it. So people bring it down really close, grab it, and then they just tilt the drone. Like, that is the fastest way you can turn off the props, but I just don't like that method, because as you could hear, it started ramping up the props because the drone just thinks that it is encountering really strong winds and resistance. So that is why it does that. I would not do this because, like I said, it is pretty dangerous because it can go and mess with the drone. I've heard of people that happening to them, and specifically it just messing up the IMU, which is the internal measuring unit. I don't know why, but it does affect that at times. So I just thought I would mention that one way of landing and just showing you, you probably shouldn't do that. Not a good idea. So overall, as you can see, this was a pretty short video, at least I hope. I didn't intend for it to be long if it was. But as you can see, landing and taking off with the Mavic Mini out of your hand definitely isn't as dangerous as you would think. So there you have it. There is how to properly and safely land the Mavic Mini and take off from your hand. And just to summarize what I just went over all into one short little piece, the safest way to take off is to hold the drone like so with your fingers on both sides. This just allows you to not have to worry about wind if a gust of wind comes along, and if a gust of wind does come along, you can slightly throw the drone up, which I didn't show, but you can do that if an emergency situation arises with a gust of wind. Then you don't have to worry about it falling off your hand if you're doing a palm takeoff. And the safest way to land is a palm landing. And these are both just in my personal opinion, but I've been flying this for a while now, and those are the two that I've found are absolutely downright the best options for hand taking off and landing this drone. And something I didn't mention is with those downward facing sensors, there are ways of disabling those. However, it's not through the app, sadly enough, which is kind of annoying, But there is a way to do it, and if you want to see a future video about that, it's actually called attitude mode. So if you want to learn more about attitude mode, maybe you don't know what that is, make sure to let me know down in the comments. But that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button down below, as well as subscribing for future videos if you aren't already. Also, if you want to check out my last video, that should be up there, and some random videos should be down there. With that being said, that is it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Also, let me know if you want to see a future video about my new vehicle. It is so nice, and I want to share it with a broader audience. At the very minimum, I'll definitely include it in some drone shots in future videos.